All right, let's make this. Hi, I'm Elaine from Foodblog Sourdough, and in this video we are making some different recipes. These we're calling our rapid sourdough recipes, sometimes called discard recipes, but the whole point of the recipes is that we're using our starter to make some different things. So anybody that knows me or has followed anything I do knows that the way that I manage my sourdough starter is I never have any discard. I don't have any build up like that. But that doesn't mean, therefore, that I can't make these kind of recipes. What I do instead is I feed my starter for the purpose. So this is my little star, and I fed her to make sure I've got lots of starter to play with. If you want to build up a whole load of starter, you can just keep feeding it up and building some extra in a bigger jar so you've got it to play with. For me, I would get on and use it. I'm not going to leave it sitting in the fridge. But if you've got a jar like that you've created from making a starter, if the way that you work with your starter means you've got a whole load of discard, then go for it. If you want to see a different way of working with starter, feel free to check out all of our information. But for this, we're going to be making various rapid recipes, and this is the first one. So of course, where else would you begin but banana bread? And one of the beauties of these recipes, and especially something like this, is that you can use any flour. So this isn't like making a loaf where we need to consider the flour and its behavior. We need to consider a dough holding its shape. This is about us being able to mix up whatever we want because we know it's going to go into a tin. The tin is going to support it and it's going to produce what we want. So this is why we've got so many flours around. So you don't have to have these flours. You can see what you've got in the cupboard. But for me, when I make banana bread, I like using a bit of whole grain spelt with it, possibly a bit of the einkorn. Maybe you've got a flour in your cupboard that you've never tried. You just want to see what the flavour's like. So we can play around with this. The recipe includes 200 grams of flour. You could throw all different flours at that, or you could just leave it with just white spelt flour or all-purpose flour. So that's the joy of these kind of recipes. So let's get on with this one. So the first thing we're going to make is sourdough-based banana bread, and the purpose of using the starter in it, partly just because we can, and because it gives it an extra bit of flavour, extra bit of texture, and because it's fun. All right, let's make this. So we will have the written recipes available for you for this. But the key things we want, obviously, is our starter, our flour, some nicely overripe bananas, eggs, walnuts, optional. You could go for pecans if you prefer, or none at all. We've got baking powder, bicarbonate of soda, or baking soda, whatever you call it, and some honey, and some butter. Look at that, as if by magic. So the beauty of this is going to be all in the bowl. So we're going to get started. This is a beautiful autumnal day, as you may tell by the decoration behind me. We're coming up to Halloween. It's very bright. We have the sun low behind us, and it's driving James crazy. So you will see the light will change as we go on. So here we go. We have got a starter that I fed specifically for doing this. So we want 100 grams of this beautiful stuff. And you can use fed starter, unfed starter. Starter in any shape or form will do the job for this. Doesn't matter what flour it's made from. Doesn't matter if it's hungry. The whole point is that you can use your starter in any way you fancy. Okay, so don't overthink that one. Here we go. So because it's me and this is what I do, I'm just going to scrape my bowl round a bit and scrape it down because I can't help myself, because we like to keep these things tidy. So I have got my 100 grams of starter. And now I'm going to plonk that in there, zero it again. So we now want 200 grams of flour. I'm going to go with 100 grams of whole grain spelt flour. And you could then match that with a bit of any of these. I'm going to put 100 grams of the white spelt flour, or you can use light spelt flour. So really, you can have yourself a bit of a mix here. So just to cover it, the pan that I'm using is a standard 2-pound loaf pan. I've got a liner in it ready to go. And we're going to bake this from a cold start, as always, so you don't need to worry about preheating your oven. We're then going to come into 50 grams of honey. I use this stuff because it's easy, whatever honey you've got available. We have got our 50 grams of butter already at room temperature. I've already weighed it out. We are going to throw in, first of all, we're going to wipe the butter off our finger. We're going to mash up our bananas, ready to go, because that's what's going to add a kind of liquid to this. So let's just move this for now. So I want 3 kind of medium bananas. Look at that. Let's go for those 3. And all I'm going to do is roughly mash them. So it doesn't matter what kind of state your bananas are in. Doesn't matter if they haven't got much left in them in the way of texture or solidity. Let's put those in my food bin. As you may have noticed, Bob is doing what he likes to do, lying in the sunshine. So all I'm going to do with those is give them a rough mash up. So at the moment, the mix might look quite dry. This, the bananas, are going to be what gives it just an extra bit of moisture. So let's bring that bowl back. Let's just get rid of one of the spoons. You don't need both. Just going to scrape all of that lovely fabulousness into our bowl. And whilst we're here, I'm just going to peel one of these ready for later for decorating the top. So we're going to keep this one whole. Get rid of all the stringy bits we don't need. This is different kind of recipes for us, isn't it, James?
Indeed. Oh, to be fair, what I'm thinking of is banana bread.
Banana bread. And will it be ready before you leave? We've got our starter, our flour, our honey, our butter, our bananas, all sitting in there. We're going to add 50 grams of walnuts. So you can break them up a bit, you can keep them whole. You might just want to, as you throw them in, just crunch them a bit between your fingers. Depends how you like them. If you're not a walnut fan, try the pecan option. Try the no nuts option. In this house, my husband would go for the no nuts option. And then we've got our bicarbonate of soda. So we're going to go for 1 teaspoon or 7 grams of the bicarbonate of soda. So in this scenario, It's not the starter that's giving us the lift. It's these elements. It's the bicarbonate of soda and the baking powder and how they react against the bananas. That is what is giving us the lift here. So we've got half a teaspoon of that one. Salt. This is optional. This is your choice if you put a bit of salt in these things to boost the flavour. It's not what I do, but feel free if that's what you want to add. So we have everything in there. So all we want is a nice rough mix. Just try and spread the banana through, spread some of that starter through. So it's going to be quite a heavy batter. And at this point, we're going to add an egg, which will also help with giving it the rise. So it's a nice mushy mix. My preference is not to overmix it. You just don't want to have too much or any dry flour. But I want to try and keep the banana from actually just becoming liquid. So we've got the odd little chunk in there. And we're going to spoon it into our waiting pan. It smells good. Of course, you could also add a bit of spice to this if you fancied. Time of year for it. Time of year for a bit of pumpkin spice. So because I really want to get as much as I can out of the bowl. Now that we're in the pan, just going to spread it out a bit. Make sure that our liner is still sitting where we want it to be. And then with this one, with this extra banana, it's going to carefully cut it in half so that we can sit it across the top for a bit of decoration, but also so that then when you're slicing into it, you've got the odd little big chunk of banana. Now that's going to go in the oven. I'm going to bake it from a cold start. Yes, cakes, loaves, things like this can still be baked from a cold start. I'm going to turn the oven onto 160 degrees centigrade or 325 Fahrenheit for a fan assisted oven or convection, or if you don't have that, it's 180 degrees centigrade or 350 degrees Fahrenheit if you've got a non-fan conventional oven. So this is going to go in. It's going to sit there. It can be anything between 50, 60 minutes, but at some point we're just going to use a metal skewer to see how it is in the middle. So this is our first of our rapid recipes, and in it goes. That's banana bread time. Look at that beauty. How nice does that look? And you know the best bits are either a bit with that lovely big chunk of banana on it or the ends. I'm a big end of the banana bread fan. So by the time my family come home, there probably won't be the end pieces left. I'm not going to try and manhandle that out onto there on film because it's going to take a little bit of wiggling. But there is our banana bread. Let's just check. Look at that. We are clean. We are baked. Nice. Enjoy. Get the kettle boiled. Get ready to tuck in. And the beauty of these recipes is you don't need to wait. Probably wait until it's settled a bit so that when you cut into it, it doesn't fall apart. But other than that, yeah. So I'm going to manhandle this out so that it cools down. But look online, find the banana bread recipe, play around with the flours, chuck different things at it, and have fun with your starter. James, get the kettle on.